Hello team, welcome back to another podcast, video cast of the TwoFatBrokers. I am Barney Crompton from Dubai.
I'm Ben from Abu Dhabi.
Today we're going to talk about something that is, it's a very interesting topic for people who are very good at their jobs. It is called the Locksmith's Paradox, and Ben will explain to you what it is.
Yeah, we're getting clever now on these kind of things. So the Locksmith Paradox is when a locksmith starts out, it takes a long time you lose your keys, he comes to your house, it takes a long time to open the door. But as time goes on and he gets better and more experienced, he can open your door like that. And what people who are paying for this service, they start to get not happier because he's opening it so quickly, but more upset because they're paying the same amount, but he seems to be doing less work. So as his skill goes up, customer satisfaction with his work goes down, because customers, when you're paying for a service, they want to see that you've put in effort if they're going to pay for it. And that's something that we in real estate suffer from all the time. You seen this, Bonnie?
I have. There's another analogy which maybe people might be more au fait with, which is you don't pay the plumber to come round and bang on the pipes. You pay the plumber to come round and know which pipe to bang on. It is a paradox that people who are good at their jobs suffer from. And we see that a lot in real estate. A lot of people say, "Well, you only showed me one house. Why am I going to pay you 2% when I buy it?" And the whole premise of that is, I met with you, I ascertained what you wanted, I knew exactly where to go to find you the house, I took you to it, and I've saved you 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of searching for something because I understood what it is you wanted and I got it for you.
You should be paying me more, in fact. I've saved your time.
Yeah, well, time is money. Time is money. And what value do you put on your time?
Because real estate is one of those bizarre, you're paying for a service, right? You're paying, but you're also paying for the outcome. So you're paying for the locksmith to get you in the house. You're paying for the real estate agent to just find you your dream home, whether it's renting or as buying. And in an ideal world, you'd imagine people would want you to find that as fast as possible, and just take you to the biggest complaint everyone gets is, the real estate agent took me to see stuff that I didn't want to see, and I told him I needed a 4-bedroom, and he took me to a 7-bedroom. But weirdly, then people get upset if you take them to that was a perfect house first time when I bought it. What am I paying you for exactly?
So is there a sweet spot? How many houses do you need to take someone to see before they're happy to pay you the money that you've earned?
Well, that is it. Well, that's quite interesting because particularly in the UAE, we and I'm sure you've seen this as well, and we see it not as much as I would think, but it does happen where clients just refuse to pay you. Or they start to play hardball with the negotiations on the commission.
Yeah. One of the things that I always say to people who are, once we found them the house and they like to try and negotiate on the commission is, one, fine, if that's not something that you're prepared to pay, then perhaps we'll find you something else. But two, also, if you wanted to pay less, I would have happily had that conversation with you prior to me doing all the work, but please don't renegotiate once I've done everything for you. I guess that's a conversation for another time. But But
they do feel that because they're saying, okay, well, I'm happy to pay you 2% from the beginning, but then when they see that how little work you've done, you've taken them straight to the property that they've loved, then they're like, well, hold on. Initially, I was happy to pay you, this amount, but what exactly have you done for this?
Yeah, I guess in many respects, I've been selling houses for 23 years now. I like to think I'm fairly good at it. Yes, I've been selling houses for longer than I haven't been selling houses in my life. I've realised that the other day.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I've spent most of my life selling. Anyway, and you get fairly good at what you do, and so therefore your time becomes more efficient. When you use someone like me, you're also always going to have to pay me the going rate. Whereas if you use a younger, less experienced broker, they might take a hit on their commission, but they'll also spend a lot more of your time taking things to perhaps you don't want to see. So also another paradox, you pay for the quality of the agent that you get.
And it also is a bit weird because we there's an industry almost fixed fee, right? So the guy who just gave up his job...
Don't get me started on the fixed fees. Whoa.
Well, I'm going to get you started on that. The guy who just, decided not to become, an Uber driver and is going to try his hand at real estate still gets paid the same as someone who's been selling, property for 23 years.
It's a success fee though, isn't it, really? I mean, greatest of respect to Uber drivers, they're probably not going to be as efficient, perhaps they are, but, at face value, as efficient as somebody who has, an education and has a knack of communicating.
But they're charging the same, right? And actually, you could even say it with Uber drivers. An Uber driver who's been driving for 10 years and the guy who's just first on the job gets paid the same. Yeah. Whereas in most jobs, there's a promotion, and let's say, if you're a lawyer and you're going to take on a lawyer, you're going to pay a lot less for an associate than you are for a partner. And that's, and that's banded and everyone understands that. But for a real estate agent, people are just like, well, I mean, this is the price, it's 2% in Abu Dhabi and different elsewhere. And they don't say, and if you decided to charge 3%, because you've got 23 years experience, people would be in uproar.
They would. Maybe we should all, real estate agents, regroup.
Yeah. Well, there was a time in Abu Dhabi, I don't know if this ever happened in Dubai, where people would charge a viewing fee. So if someone took you to a property, you'd have to pay 50 dirhams or 100 dirhams or something like that. Yeah, so you actually got paid for the time that you were spending with the client.
But also the client would be sure to know what they're going to go and see and not waste their own money and time.
Well, that's it. There's the temptation for then, if you're getting paid per viewing, to go and take them to see a ton of stuff they don't want to see. And so the incentivization of that, then kind of flips over, because we are purely success-based. We don't find you what you need, you don't pay us, all right? But then also people complain, well, you didn't spend enough time. Well, hold on, I'm not billing you for my time. I'm billing you for my success. If you want me to bill you for my time, that's absolutely fine.
It's going to be even more
and
lucrative.
I can show you 20 things you don't want to see.
But with that in mind, you have a lot, and I hear this predominantly about rental agents, and forgive me out there, rental agents, but the main gripe I hear is they just told me to go to the apartment and the door would be open. Now, for me, you deserve half the commission if that's what you're doing. And you only deserve half the commission because your company is the guy who is, or are the people that have spent the money to get that listing. If you're not bothered to go and do the viewing, you really shouldn't be getting anything. Your job is to go and extol the virtues of what it is that your client is seeing. So in that respect, I think that's one of the worst things that real estate agents can do, is not attend one of their own viewings, or at least have one of their colleagues go with them.
Although bizarrely, that is, I don't know if the same in Dubai, the tradition in Abu Dhabi is, particularly when the building's owned by one owner, there won't be a real estate agent there. There'll be a security guard in front. You'll walk in, say, is this, you've got any units available? Yeah, there's the key, go see it yourself. So that I don't know however many wholly owned buildings there are in Dubai, but in Abu Dhabi, people just do not value that element of sales. They don't value that, to have someone sitting there and go up with you and answer your questions and go through the whole thing. They're like, there's the key, if you like it, let me know and we'll book it. So people just don't value that sales. And what people do value, in Abu Dhabi at least, to a certain extent, is, all right, have you got a really good deal? Do you have the unit that I want and it's super cheap? But they don't value the paperwork afterwards, the sales element. We see a lot of stuff on Facebook, probably in Dubai as well. I'm looking for, this 3-bed to buy direct from owner.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, okay, you want it direct from owner, do you want it, because you're saving on the fees? Is it a hassle to work with agents, or you just don't value what the agent does? I think it's probably different every time, but I think it's a lot, I just want to save on the fees, and me as a person, as I'm going to find the unit that I want and I'm going to see it and I'm going to be happy with that, as opposed to having to pay an agent. Whereas really agents are of more value to the owner to sell their units.
Much need for agents in Abu Dhabi. What are you telling me?
Well, yeah. To be honest, the amount of real estate that we have, because so much of it's wholly owned, real estate agents are very much concentrated in the investment zones where units are individually owned.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much, not that they don't exist, but very, very rare in downtown Abu Dhabi, where people can just walk into a tower, get the keys, and deal directly with the owner. They're much more valued in the investment zones where you need to find owners. And like what you were saying there before about people just saying go to the apartment, it's open. That because of the way the market works here, where there's no exclusivity, and that's across the UAE, a broker's time is spent probably trying to find availability, cold calling people illegal, or let's say going through their database of people who they've already contacted, saying is your unit coming up for
found their number in my system.
So agents spend a hell of a lot of time trying to get availability, and then they sacrifice actually trying to sell the units that they have, because and some of my agents. One was asking the other day, can we start to charge people viewing fees because people are wasting my time coming and viewing, and and then I never hear from them again or something like that, and I'm spending a huge amount of time viewing and not closing because people are just
logical, and then perhaps the viewing fees come off the end commission, but then you just drive. That would be. It's an interesting thought actually. I don't think it ever happened in Dubai, but and it would make sure that you really drill down on what it is your client needs, or your client really understands what it is that they need quickly and only comes to see the stuff that they want.
Well, and it would mean that the client would pick a broker who they really thought would find them what they need, as opposed to just being like, listen, it's Eid, I've got plenty of blooming time, I'm just going to harass as many brokers as I can to try and find, the best deal.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of time on my hands. And people in the UAE have far more time on their hands than they do, let's say, in Western Europe or North America, where people, work longer hours, both the husband and the wife work. They really value, their outdoor leisure time or whatever. People in the UAE have more time. They live closer to their work, they don't have to commute as much, they work shorter hours, government shorter hours as well, and they have more time to go and do the viewings themselves if they want to, go and find, units direct from the owner if they want to, and also, waste poor real estate agents' time.
Poor us. Poor us. Poor Petrie.
So interestingly there's real estate agents complaining about clients, wasting their time, and clients complaining about real estate agents that you only showed me one unit. Well, if you viewed 20 units with other agents, and you viewed one with me and I closed it, you're actually paying for those 20 other agents who got nothing for all of their hard work, and the next time round, the agent who you paid will be one of those 20 agents who doesn't get paid.
But also you have to keep in mind that it's very unlikely, using the far left-hand side of this argument, that someone sees one house and then that's it. They're like, that's it, that's all I need. They will use that house to then benchmark all of their other property search. So from that respect, it's, I think the least amount of viewings I've ever done with a client was actually quite recently. I think I showed him 4 units, and he bought one at near on asking price. And then on the other side, I've spent 3 years with one client who ended up buying something from me. So there is a big, there's not a one shoe fits all. That's not one size fits all. Paradigm here. So
and then you can take off plan where someone's like, okay, I'm really interested in this development, and you take them to the developer's office and they pick out a unit, and I want that one, and you can't even show them. And then you get paid for that. And people don't complain about that because the developer's paying the commission. But realistically, the developer bakes the commission into the sale price. So you're never not paying commission. You always are. But in that instance, maybe they haven't done 4 viewings. Maybe they're like, I really want a unit in this development, or you advertise and they reply to your advertisement, and you take them to the office and you close them.
So anyway, I think that kind of concludes our
I could go on forever.
Diatribe on the locksmith paradox. Yeah. In essence, if somebody's only showed you one unit and it's the right one, be grateful that they haven't wasted your time.
Yeah, we're paid on success, not on hours worked.
Correct.
Yeah.
We've been the 2FatBrokers. I've been Barney.
I've been Ben.
We'll see you next time.
Next time. Bye.